where real conversations replace quick fixes and perfect answers. Welcome to We Are Not Fine.
Hi, guys. Welcome to We Are Not Fine podcast, a space where we don't pretend to have it together just because we're therapists.
Yeah, people usually think we're superhumans with emotional PhDs in life. But honestly, we screw up, we spiral, we overthink, and just do everything the same as you.
And honestly, sometimes we need somebody who tells us what we tell our clients.
Exactly. So today we will talk about the myth that therapists shouldn't be in therapy.
So, Mahima, let's
Hmm.
start with you. Do you go to therapy? Are you fine?
I do go to therapy, but I'm definitely not fine. I've been going to therapy for the last, I think, 2 years now, and I am on my journey to becoming fine, I suppose. What about you, Muskan? Are you fine?
Are we all ever completely fine? Really?
I don't know, but you're a therapist. Aren't you supposed to be fine?
I really wish if that was true. I've heard this so many times by my own family members, by my own uh, relatives who do not really understand the concept of therapy. They, God, I've heard this so many times that तुझे क्या जरूरत है therapy की तू खुद ही therapist है ना
Exactly.
और how are you getting this angry on your younger brother तू तो therapist है you should stay calm.
Exactly, right? Apparently, being a therapist is the same as being like a guru or a monk,
Yeah,
like a peaceful saint
fully
somewhere
completely
in the
zen mode.
Himalayas, I suppose.
Only I wish it was true, but it's not, people, it's not.
It can't be, right? Because the saints in the Himalayas don't have other people around them. We do.
Yeah,
If we probably didn't have
and
triggered
our
people
lives are
around us, then
also
maybe we
influenced
would
by
be.
everybody around us.
Exactly, right? So if we didn't have that many people triggering us, maybe we would be just as saintly and at peace. But clearly we're not.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally like saying that,
Yeah.
how doctors can't go to
Yeah.
take their own blood test. Can they not? They do, right? This means,
Yeah.
this
No,
means as
apparently
therapists.
doctors can cut open their own hearts and
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
perform like
exactly.
a nice little surgery.
I remember the last time that we talked about this.
Mm.
I also mentioned this, that how a barber can't just cut their own hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
They can
going to be
try, but
messy.
they probably won't get it that well, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. So how do you usually deal with it when somebody asks you why you're in therapy?
I don't remember how I used to respond to it a while back, but now I think I just tell them that therapist हूँ पर इंसान भी तो हूँ. I'm also a human, so I have similar
Yeah,
issues as you do. So this is why even I need therapy. And it's
fair
not
enough.
just about the issues. I also see if I think that they are capable of understanding things, then
Mm.
I also
Yeah.
go ahead and tell them that how it's important as a therapist to go to therapy as well. What are the
True.
benefits of it?
True. Yeah, it really depends on the person who you're answering this question to, I suppose, because sometimes when random people ask me, I just say, it's because I'm not a good one. That's why I need to go to therapy.
Yeah,
And to
I mean,
others
see,
who
as
I
a
think
budding,
will be able to understand the answer, to them I say, man, look, going to therapy is akin to, going to the gym, right? You don't stop going to the gym just because you're a personal trainer, right? So that's about it,
exactly.
man.
And is it like, do also something about the same topic that,
Mm.
people think that once they are feeling absolutely okay,
Mm.
they are not supposed to continue therapy and they are never supposed to continue therapy.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I think the problem with that is a lot of people think that going to therapy is like going to a doctor. So only when something is wrong with you, you're supposed to go to therapy.
yeah,
When honestly, therapy at its deepest level, I think, will be about, or is supposed to be about, self exploration and self growth, and something that you do just for yourself. So it has nothing to do with your problems. It will not have something to do with other
yeah.
people. It will just be about you as an individual. So I think, yeah, that also plays a big part. But then why do you think a lot of people have this misconception that just because you're a therapist, you can deal with everything on your own?
Why do people have this
Yeah,
misconception?
yeah.
Uh, Probably because they think that, these are the kind of the tools that we give to them, we can
Hmm.
apply it in our own lives. Just
Yeah,
like how they
totally.
expect from doctors to, if the doctor is saying that, eat 10 apple a day keeps the doctor away,
Hmm.
something of that sort, that they must be
Yeah.
also eating apples on a regular so that they don't get to see a doctor someday, something of that sort. So maybe they think that,
Well,
we preach what we are doing the same things that we're preaching.
yeah.
So
Yeah. But sometimes
maybe,
we do the things, right? But it's never quite as simple as that. And I think that's where the confusion lies with a lot of people. They
yeah.
think therapy is simply just, applying techniques. It's really not just that, right?
It's not just that, it's so much more than that. I mean, uh, we are also humans with the exact same emotions that you guys have.
Mm,
No, you
yeah.
guys, I mean, no. Even when I'm saying that you guys, it differentiates us. We're the same.
Between us. Yeah.
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 And we have the same emotions. We feel anger, we feel anxiety, we feel sadness, we feel happiness exactly as you all
Yeah.
do. So
Yeah.
when we feel those emotions, even the repercussions of it hits us the same way. And
Just
when
the
they
same,
do,
right?
जितना पढ़ा हुआ है ना वो कुछ याद नहीं आता है. We have our own patterns, habits, everything.
That is true. That is true. And I think the easiest way to put it would be like we've been studying psychology for say like 5, 7 years, whatever, and we've been alive for like a good 25, 27 years, right? So you can't erase 20 years from existence and conditioning and all the trauma that people have dumped on us and just erase it with like 5 years of training. I don't think we can do that, right?
We
Plus,
can't.
we're having new experiences every day, so it's like you keep getting triggered more and more, I suppose, just like everybody else.
Exactly. And what we've learned it in theory. In
Yeah,
practical, it's still difficult. And as when you sit in front of a therapist as a client, you also understand the level of patience that the therapist
yeah,
needs to hold, which probably
yeah.
we did not learn initially. It
No,
it's been a
definitely not.
hard journey.
Right, and that's the thing, right? I think as when we're, as a therapist in the therapy room, there's a lot of empathy that we extend towards the client. But when it comes to our own lives, I don't think we have the same amount of compassion for ourselves, right? So I think that in itself creates a lot of difference in how we deal with whatever situation is in front of us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think us and our
Mm.
friends that we've
Yeah,
talked to, we do understand that how harsh we are to ourselves, even
to
though we have
ourselves, yeah.
so much of compassion for our clients, so much of
But
compassion.
we
Always,
just can't seem to find that for ourselves, right? And
yeah,
I think that's one of the major issues that blocks self love and self growth and all these things. It's like you can say the exact same words to your clients, but you just can't find them for yourself, can you? And it just makes it so much more difficult to work on yourself because you're like, no, it just doesn't make sense in your brain.
exactly. And it's so real. I mean, it feels like just abhi I started my therapy, even though I've
Mm,
started it long back, but whatever that you just said, it
mm,
feels so real. It feels like abhi to I started my therapy. But yeah.
mm. No,
Also,
that's the
we
fight I keep having with my therapist. She says all that empathy and all that compassion. How come you can't find it for yourself? And I'm just like, I don't
And that statement from a therapist hits,
know.
man. It slaps the right. Oh my god, एकदम hit करता है यार that statement.
It does, and you don't know where it goes or what the answer to that is. I just set a blank every single time she asks me that, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I wish I knew where it goes when it comes to that. I think that is another problem that a lot of therapists face, right? Just because we are therapists, we also question and judge ourselves twice as much, thinking that shouldn't I actually just know this already? But then it's so difficult. for these things to mix. You're separate as a human being, and then your work is like completely different. So yeah, a lot of people's judgment then becomes
That's
personal
also true.
judgment also.
Mm-hmm.
That is not nice.
That is really not nice.
Has it ever happened to you, like some situation where you felt, you could have maybe not judged yourself if other people were not there thinking, "Ki, you're a therapist, you should not feel this way or
I
do
don't
this."
remember it, but I'm sure that I would have 100%. I mean, I think so now that I'm thinking about it, I think most of it happened when we were doing the same course together. I think that was
Yeah,
the period when we started actually applying all the theories in on our
yeah,
clients and
yeah.
during our what role play sessions.
Mm.
And when all of those things started happening, we understood that this is going to happen, and we'll have to
Right,
be okay with it, and then learn more.
right. No, true, true. That is true. I think one of the important things we learned in this training also was that how you have to, instead of just theory, right, when you start doing it practically, and then when you sit in the therapy session also, you realize that it's not just about the knowledge that you have, but it really depends on the relationship that you can create, right? That's why, remember, whenever they said how therapy will progress, the first one was always therapeutic relationship, right? It's never just whatever you know, it is how you're going to apply it with that
Mm-hmm.
person. So I think another good way to answer why therapists also need to be in therapy is simply that we also can't heal in isolation, right? We also need someone else to form that therapeutic bond with and then be able to heal in that bond. So yeah, why should we do it alone, man? We should also have it easy, right?
Yeah, and I think after going to my own therapy sessions, even though I've been going for my therapy sessions for a
Yeah.
very long time, but I think I've really understood how therapy actually works and how we're supposed to
Mm.
go very later on
Yeah. True.
with my
True.
own practice, with my own understanding of things.
Mm.
Pehle, it was
Yeah.
just therapy for me. That yeah,
Yeah.
I am the client, she's my therapist. Now that I am the therapist, wow,
Yeah.
now I see so many perceptions, so many angles from where she must be, you know, uh, seeing this same situation when she
Yeah.
asks me questions. And
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? That's the important distinction between being a therapist and being a client. And one of the reasons why we say that you can't be a therapist to your friends or you can't be a therapist to your
yep.
family, and certainly you cannot be a therapist to yourself, is because there's a difference between objective perception and subjective one. And whenever we are too close to the client, or say if we are being your own therapist, then whatever we view, the entire situation is very subjective, right? And as therapists, we have to be objective, and we can't achieve that for ourselves, right? It's easy for us, it's very natural for us to do that for our clients so
Yep.
that we can provide them the best kind of care, but you can't apply that to yourself, and hence we also need to be in therapy to figure out what is wrong or what is not working for us, so we can solve it and we can then show up as better therapists also, right? Otherwise we'll be drowning in our own things, and then that will start leaking into our professional life also, and that's not good.
That is not good. And while you were sharing this thing,
Hmm.
something that came into my head was, we talked about this, that
Hmm.
you remember the time when we were in this one lecture and our professor said that, sit with this feeling.
Yeah, yeah,
And
I
yeah,
remember.
all of us were
Yeah,
confused.
yeah,
All of us were confused. How do you really sit with this feeling? Yes, we heard
yeah.
it so many times
True.
that
True.
that the therapist says that, this
Mm.
uncomfortable feeling, you have to sit with it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we really understood how we have to sit with this feeling
To sit with it.
during
Yeah.
our own therapy sessions, plus also the emotional hygiene that was
Yeah.
given to us.
Yeah.
And dude, doing that during my own therapy session changed so many things for me. It was like I finally have an answer. If my client asks me that, आप बोल तो
Yeah.
रहे हो sit with the feeling, but ये करते
Yeah.
कैसे हैं? So now
Correct, correct.
we have
True.
an answer.
True. So and I think it's very interesting in this sense also that when we enter a therapy room as a client, right? There are so many different things that we get to learn from our therapist, as in just how does it feel to answer a question like this? How does it feel to be asked this and this? How does it feel to, you know, be made to talk about this and that? So that when we are the therapist, we can be more mindful of, should we ask this? Should we say this? How should we basically move the session around, right? Because we know what it feels like to be in that vulnerable position that clients usually are in, right? So I think it just helps us be a little more mindful and a little more understanding of what the client might be feeling. So it's like a more deeper perspective into how scary sometimes it might be to be the client, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think, oh damn, it's super scary to be a client.
It is. It is. Do you remember your first session?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think I was going through something really difficult at that time, because of
Mm.
which I decided that, I have to start my own therapy now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even though I knew everything, that,
Mm-hmm.
the confidentiality thing, the safe space, and everything,
Yeah.
still it's so difficult. And that's when I also understood that, तुम कितना भी बोल लो that this is a safe space, unless you really make your client feel that this is a safe space,
Yeah.
it
True.
will not be a safe space.
Yep. Yep.
So to
It can't be.
understand that, and to not go with the flow, as in not flowing with the emotions with them, understanding the
Yeah.
difference between empathy and sympathy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think as a client also, when uh, I am sharing these things with my own therapist, and I see that,
Mhm.
oh, this is getting heavier for her, it
Yeah.
actually feels very authentic. It feels that, okay, she's really understanding me. So I've also
It does.
understood this via my own therapy sessions, that how, um, a therapist can also feel emotions, and that will make me feel that, she's empathizing for me.
True. That is true.
And this is completely
Well,
out of our bookish
yeah.
thing, because in our books we are taught that we are not supposed to show emotions.
Yeah. That is true. That is true. You're not supposed to show emotions. You're not supposed to share anything about your life, no matter how relatable. Also, is something that is sometimes very questionable. Given a client to client basis, it's okay to self disclose at well at times, right?
Yeah,
If it's absolutely critical, and I think we are a good
and
judge of
if
that.
self disclosure is done at a perfect time, I mean, it can do wonders in a session.
Wonders, exactly. But then in our books, it says that refrain from, doing any kind of self disclosure as well. But then that's the thing. If you expect your client to be so vulnerable, I think it really helps as a therapist to be vulnerable as well in some moments, so they can really just take that bond to another level, kind of a thing. So I think it felt really cool when my therapist sort of did a few things that were like, in the self disclosure space. I think it just made me feel like, yeah, we can finally connect on something different than the path we were taking so far. Or to truly show that they care enough to actually be just as invested in this.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that.
Yeah, right. And it's so crazy that people think that just because you're a therapist and you know certain workings of your brain, you are just devoid of emotion almost, as in you can feel them, but only if they're approved by the other person, or you can
Hmm.
only feel them in certain uh, measured quantities. Like it can't ever be more than what the other person is expecting you to feel. So it can never turn into something that's messy or chaotic or just more than the normal. Like it has to be a certain approved intensity of emotion. So all of a sudden, the people as therapists, like as the people who are supposed to be saying that, all emotions are okay, you can feel whatever you want, all of a sudden we are supposed to be the ones who don't feel anything. So all of a sudden we are supposed to be robots when the entire time we were the ones saying, emotions are okay and you can feel them. So it's not like we say it just for other people, right? We should also be allowed to feel just as
That's,
much as everybody else, right?
that's true.
It's crazy how people confuse the two things. And I think a lot of people forget that this is our job, right? We're still a human being. outside of our job. And we have just as many personal relationships,
यही
and
तो
we
मेन
go
चीज है
through the
जो
same
लोग
kind of things.
यही तो मेन चीज है जो लोग भूल रहे हैं that we are also.
We are also people, exactly, and we are absolutely not fine given the state of the world. I think there are a lot of things that don't make sense to us just as much as everybody else, and it's difficult, man. It's difficult. Do you think being a therapist makes you perform being okay?
um I think, wait, repeat.
I'm saying that's your ADHD showing up.
Hmm?
I'm saying, see, therapist talk, therapist input. I'm saying, does it ever feel like, since you're a therapist, it makes you want to sometimes act okay or perform being okay, even though you're not, because everybody's expecting she will have a more calm reaction and she will be more composed than everybody
Sometimes,
else.
yes, it does happen, and it comes naturally at that time. It's not like I am
It does.
consciously trying to do that. It
Yeah.
just comes naturally to me. And then now there are times when I take a pause, that wait,
Mm.
is this really my reaction? No. Then I get
Yeah.
angry, or
Yeah.
whatever the reaction is supposed to be. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that definitely happens. Do
Do you
you?
ever find yourself in moments like, you're reacting a certain way and then you're like, no, 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 I should be more understanding because I'm a therapist, and then see it from the other person's perspective and then stop your reaction?
I've definitely done that as well.
Yeah,
I
guilty,
think we've all
guilty.
been there.
We
See, come
have,
on,
we
how
have
are
done
we?
that.
See, we can definitely make a line between
Mm,
being a professional and being a human, but
yeah.
then the professional is, see, the lines get blurry sometimes.
They do, but they're not supposed to, is the point, right? I don't think we should. Uh,
Yeah, we're not supposed to, but then I think we will. I think the time when we will completely not blur the line, I think that will come with a lot of experience.
it should, right? But then again, if that comes with experience, like as in the more you grow as a therapist, the more you realize that you should keep these two parts actually separate. Then that brings us back to the same question of how confusing it is for people to accept that if you're a therapist, you should not be in therapy, right? And then if the more in experience you grow, the more you realize that it's okay to be human. So the more need for better therapy or for us to be in therapy. So it's like, I mean, it makes sense to us, but I sincerely hope that anybody who listens to this or finds this somewhere also gets a good idea of why therapist needs to be in therapy, so they don't annoy any other person who is a therapist by
Yeah,
asking them this question.
it is really important, and uh, I think the lines will always blur a little bit here and there. It's
Mhm.
always going to be
Yeah,
blur.
they should, right? But just like we shouldn't be expected to not have emotions or not be messy or not be human and be held to an unreachable and unattainable standard is the point, right? Because
Knowing you and me, we know that we can't. We anyway
we are
can't
not
do
even
that.
trying to is the point, right? But it's so confusing for a lot of people, and I think that speaks for the confusion a lot of people have of what actually therapy is. I think a lot of people come from the idea that you go with a problem, you get a solution, and that's therapy. So I think they think that if you're already a therapist, shouldn't you already have all the solutions? But it's not as simple as that, right?
It's not.
So how would you explain to someone who is new to therapy about what therapy actually is?
How would I explain it to them?
Yeah, yeah. If somebody is listening right now who's never been in therapy, how would you explain it to them that what, this is therapy, and it's not as simple as a problem with a solution?
Yeah. Okay. So we definitely do not give solutions there or advices.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll be walking through whatever goal that you want to reach with you, while you will figure out what the how to really reach that goal.
yeah,
You will be the
yeah,
one to make you will be the one to help us also navigate where your goal is supposed to go,
yeah,
and
yeah.
during that uh, we'll try to understand where your emotions and where your thoughts are coming from. If there are any patterns that you've formed, do we need to analyze those patterns, break those patterns, make new patterns?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that.
True. I'll just add to that by saying that basically being in therapy, at least the way I see it, is that, as a therapist, we help you build capacity, okay? Because the point of therapy is honestly to not need us forever and ever, okay? So if we were to just provide a ABC solution to your XYZ problem, that would mean that you might just need us for all the future problems that you have. And that is not the goal of therapy, right? We want you to be okay on your own. We want you to be able to function and solve your own problems on your own. So what we do at our best is try to help you see things more objectively by sometimes helping you process your emotions better, process why exactly your behavior looks the way it does, so that you can make more uh, informed and composed decisions that don't hurt whatever it is you're trying to do. I think as simple as that, right?
Yeah, it perfectly adds to what I said. I loved it.
Exactly. Good. I was hoping to add on it. Okay, man. So
If
then,
I
I think there are
wait,
about
I
100
had
reasons as to why you're not fine.
yeah. But I have to ask you one more question.
Yeah.
Um, so I have changed a couple of therapists and then found my perfect match.
Yep.
Tell
That
me
one.
about yours. Have you also had to go through this, or did you find your therapist in one go?
I did not. This is, I think, my fifth therapist, if I'm not wrong, and she's the one I've been with the longest now. I think I'm almost like 8 or 9 months, I'm not sure. And yeah, before that, I've had four other therapists. One I had for a week, like just one session. One I had for 4 sessions. One I had for 8, I think, and the other one also for like 7 or 8 ish. And yeah, so I definitely cannot, I don't think you can find your therapist in one go. Like majority of the people will not. So that has at least been my experience of it. What has yours been?
Yeah, I remember that my first therapist, I tried really hard with her that, it will work, it will work. And I continued my therapy for what, I think almost 3 months. And it was just not working for me. Her approach was
See, let me
something
just
that was
ask
not
you one
tailored.
question. Why did you feel this intense sort of energy or thought that said that this has to work or this should work? What makes you think that?
At that time, it definitely was this that, that I used to think that every therapist is a
Yeah.
good match for everyone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I should be respectable and understand that, I have to give it more. But at that time, I also
Yeah.
did not know how much time am I supposed to give.
Do you give?
And
Yeah. Yeah.
also, I did not understand that, what is really not working for me.
Yeah.
The way that
Fair
she's,
enough.
but then I thought that this is the way that the therapist's questioned, right?
Yeah.
But then later I understood that, the therapy modules,
Yeah.
the therapy module that she was using was something that did not sit well with me.
Sit
And I
right
was,
with you. Yeah. Fair enough. I think that's where a lot of people get confused also. They think every therapist is the same, when reality there are like so many different modalities and techniques and just schools of thought that each therapist comes from, right? And even though at the end you might achieve the same result with say a humanistic therapist and a psychodynamic one, the journey of it is going to look very different. And since therapy is a journey and it's going to be something you do week in and week out, I think you should really be on a path and a journey that's comfortable to you, as opposed to doing things that just don't make sense, but you're like, I'll get the result in the end. I think you should enjoy being in therapy. I think that's what I've reached now with my therapist, right? Like, I look forward to seeing her. I look forward to talking about the things that are not right in my life. I mean, even that makes me happy, even though we're talking about things that are wrong. It still makes me happy to just be in therapy. Because
yeah,
it's a
I can
fun space to be in.
absolutely relate to it. I remember my second therapist, oh my God, if she's watching it,
We'll send
I,
it to her.
I absolutely loved her. Because
Yeah.
of some conflict of interest, we had to part
Yeah.
our ways. But
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
and I remember crying so much when we
Mm.
had to,
Yeah.
terminate our sessions.
Yeah.
And this feeling I had the first time, the exact same feeling that you had with her, where I remember that I had something really important to discuss with her, and I did
Yeah.
not sleep the entire night because I had an early session with her. I was like, no,
Yeah.
if I sleep and if I don't wake up early, then it'll be a problem. So let's not sleep. I
Yeah.
did not sleep the entire night just so that I am available for my session.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Right. So I think finding the right therapist will feel just as magical as finding a great friend and finding a great partner even. But having said that, I should probably add a disclaimer here and say that look, your therapist is not your friend and definitely not your partner and definitely not a parent or whatever it is. So I think this is a good time to talk about transference as well, so we just provide the distinction between it. Again, going with the disclaimer, just remember when I say finding a good therapist will feel magical, what I mean by that is any good relationship, when it's in sync, when it's in harmony, it should feel nice and peaceful and something that you look forward to engaging in, right? And therapy should not feel like work, should not feel like stress, should not feel like something extra that you are being made to do, right? That is why I say that the easier it is, the more smooth it is, the better you're going to feel, right? So when you find the right therapist, it will feel pretty magical, but that's just because it's going to be a great therapeutic relationship that you share. But do not confuse it with any other kind of relationship that you have
Please
in
don't.
life. Okay, please don't.
Also,
They're
can
not
you
your friends, and they're not your partners, or they're not your family members. Okay, remember that. Having said that, Muskan, you're a good example to give to tell us why
yeah,
that shouldn't happen and how easily it actually happens.
it happens. You know what? I think it has happened in my earlier sessions with my clients when I
Mm,
just started therapy.
yeah,
Uh, and I did not really realize it at that time. I used to think
yeah,
that, oh, also, we were taught that, if the transference happens, if you have a feeling that it uh, is coming up, then we have to, as per our book, we have to terminate our session.
dominance. Yeah,
But
yeah,
with the time we realized, and yes, we've talked about this, that with the time we
yeah,
realized that, how we can bring this up in our session,
yeah,
do that uncomfortable talk, and,
yeah.
can get over it as well.
Exactly.
There's a very good chance that you can get over this, and talking will make it way more better.
Mm, yeah.
uh, so yeah, but still, I did not really understand the intensity of it, which I understood later on with this second
Mm-hmm.
therapist. So I'm really glad that you brought this up, because when we terminated our sessions, and I
Mm,
was just
yeah.
reflecting back a random day, that day I did realize that, there was so much of transference in my therapy sessions, even though
Mm, yeah.
at that time maybe I did not realize it, and my therapist also did not, because
Mm,
in front of her I would be all nonchalant,
mm,
not
yeah.
showing that kind
Yeah.
of excitement, but I would be super excited.
Yeah.
And once we terminated, I understood that, I was associating her with an elder sister, which I do not
Mm-hmm.
have. And this is why it felt heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, I bawled my eyes out during our last session, because it literally felt like somebody's taking away this elder sister from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, yeah, so the reason that, my own therapy session taught me that, how
Mm,
intense uh,
yeah.
transference can be, and how it
Mm,
shows up, uh, what all repercussions you can have after all of that,
yeah.
it helped me with my own therapy session.
That's
Now I
great.
have much more compassion for my clients,
Yeah.
and
Fair
now I
enough.
know how to do it right.
Exactly. So that's what, right? Like as a therapist, while you already know that this is something that can happen and this is something that does happen, it still happened to you, and there was no way of controlling it. It's very easy for regular people, like who don't know much about therapy, to experience this in their sessions, right? But then there should just be, There should be space to discover that also, like why is it happening, and sort of analyze and dissect that as well. Because it's not like just because you had transference with one therapist and you sort of stop seeing this therapist, it won't happen again with the next one, right? So that in itself is like something that needs to be explored further, right? Same for us as therapists, I think, right? When we experience transference, I think I remember experiencing one with one of my clients, and immediately my brain was like, this doesn't feel right. So I went to my therapist to ask, so why exactly do you think this is happening? And we were able to fix it there, right? Which brings us back to our first point, which says that as therapists, you really should be in therapy so you can figure this out for yourself and not damage, the therapeutic relationship that you have with your clients also.
That's
So
true.
yeah,
That's very true.
yeah, full circle, man, full circle.
With this full circle, we have
Yeah,
to just end it by saying that yes, my therapist might also have a therapist, and that therapist might also have a therapist.
they might. It's like a chain, man. We're just all
Yeah, it is like a chain,
healing each other, trying
and
to
nobody's
heal
healing in
each other
isolation.
as best we can. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is it. This is
And
how
I
we
think
tell
this is
the
a good
world.
way to tell people that clearly we're not fine and we are in therapy, like just
Yeah,
establishing that fact before
yeah,
we start pouring more and more of our mess onto other people. I think that's a good place to tell them that, look, man, we're already in therapy. Okay, we're doing our best. No, there's probably not more than that we can do.
yeah, man. Okay, then this brings us to the end. This was We Are Not Fine podcast, and see you in our next episode where we'll still be not fine. Bye.
Bye bye.